You wake up late because the radio does not come on. Outside there is only the sound of the wind and of the birds in the trees. And, most shockingly, so is the ever-present rumble of traffic. As the day wears on, the full, horrible, bizarre truth dawns: you are completely, utterly alone. How long would the average person survive if they woke up to find themselves the only human being left on the planet? After coming to terms with the shock and the grief, the loss of loved ones and the sheer bewilderment of it all, how quickly would 21st century man be able to adapt to a world where he was responsible for every aspect of his survival? A man can survive 6 weeks without food, but only 6 days without water. With everyone gone, no electricity and no maintenance, the pumping stations and treatment works that supply water to the taps would soon stop working. There would be a large amount of fresh water stored in domestic tanks, but this would go stale quite rapidly. In fact, our survivor would have to rely on that symbol of modern decadence, bottled water. If he or she broke into a large supermarket, they might find several thousand liters of the stuff, purified, sealed in handy storage containers, in the warehouse out the back. So, food and drink would not be a problem, although fresh food would be off the menu after a few days, unless our survivor could grow and gather crops, and fish or hunt, which would be problematic for most of us. And as weeks turn into months, and months into years, there would be other problems. It would be a good idea to get out of the cities. Without regular maintenance and subject to the ravages of rain, frost and heat, most of Britain's often shoddy housing stock would start to crumble and become dangerous within a decade or so. Roofs would lose their tiles, eaves would lift and walls would absorb moisture, woodwork would rot and everywhere vegetation would push its way through concrete and asphalt. In the long term, our survivor would have to choose a solid, stone building dating back a century or more. As for our survivor's health, the lack of any other people to spread infectious diseases would be a blessing, but the risk of accidents would be a constant worry. Even a broken limb could quickly prove fatal if the injury was not dealt with correctly. What about transport? With no regular maintenance, most cars would last only a few years before they give up the ghost. How long, for example, before escapees from the zoos made themselves a new home in the wild? How long before the forests began their march into the cities? What would happen to all the domestic animals? Would packs of feral dogs become a threat, or would man's best friend remain on good terms with the only representative of our species? For as years turned to decades, our survivor would discover the grim truth that humans did not evolve to be solitary. We are tribal, pack animals. Our survivor would probably swap all the treasures of the world for a single companion. It would, quite literally, be hell on earth.